Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel for another video on Gran Turismo 7. We're back with highlights from the Fuji Manufacturers race in Group 4. Now, I didn't get to stream this live because a company was claiming any footage of Fuji on Gran Turismo as theirs, even though it's clearly not. This video will likely get claimed as well, but yeah, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, it all helps my channel out. So I wanted to get this out anyway. So in qualifying, very competitive lobby. Look at the lap times, how close they were. Incredibly close qualifying. I was only a few tenths off pole, but down in P12. Look at that. Under half a second to pole and down in P12. Really stacked lobby all the way through the grid. A lot of very fast drivers in this one. And yeah, let's see how we got on. So no one will have seen this. This is fresh for everyone. Let's get this race underway and see how we get on in this one. So starting from P12, we've got a Nissan GTR in front of us, which as usual, four-wheel drive car is going to be pretty strong on corner exits and stuff like that. Might fade towards the end of the race, so when the tyre wear starts kicking in a little bit. So my aim in this race was basically just to get a solid race in with some good racing, because I needed to stream in the night time also. So I just decided we're going to just go until we get some okay points. This was the second slot of the day. The first slot of the day, I qualified at the back, gained about 5 positions, had okay race pace, was doing like 47 1s and 47 0s, 47 2s and stuff like that in the race. But this race, obviously, starting in the middle of the pack, a little bit more potential, but still a lot of work to be done in this race to get any sort of reasonable finishing position. You can see everyone up ahead, all in a train. This track very much suits a slipstream, so qualifying was like this. Everyone in a slipstream, and that's why it's also very close in qualifying between everyone's lap times. And this race is going to be very similar. It's going to be very difficult to get close enough to go for an overtake. This is going to be one opportunity to get overtakes done into this corner. This is probably the better of the two, really, although you can get one done at the end of the straight, obviously, if you get close enough out the exit. However, the McLaren, for me, not particularly as good as the BMW and the Subaru and other cars like that on the straight line. So getting close to a car at the end of that straight was going to be difficult. You needed them to not be in a slipstream. So watching ourselves through here, you can see very close racing, all in a train at the moment. There's not really any field spread on lap one. There's a bit of a gap between, I think it's Will behind myself there and the car behind them. So between P13 and P14, a bit of a gap developing there as we work our way on the straights. And you can see the power of the BMW on the straight. If you look in the mirror there, Will's going to bump draft us because the McLaren does lack a little bit in straight line speed. However, it does make up for that in how easy it is to drive, I would say, and traction is pretty good on this car. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit now, and you can see that we've gone a lap further ahead, and we're just hanging on to this Nissan GTR now on lap 3. We've got Will very close behind us, so we're going to have to be careful and probably not fight him too much because we don't want to lose the slipstream to the car in front. Now we go a little bit awkward through here. We went a little bit wrong line through there, got a bit out of shape in terms of the way you want to enter that corner. But luckily into the braking zone, managed to get on the throttle reasonably early, and we've kept that gap around 6 tenths, 7 tenths, and Will is right behind us now. So Will is probably going to go for a move. You can see he's in the mirror. I decided at this point, why we've got that gap in front of us, Will is definitely in a car that is so fast on the straights, it's really not worth battling it out, because if we start battling this battle, all that is going to happen is we're both going to lose time in the race, and we're going to obviously both suffer, because once you lose the slipstream at Fuji, it's game over. So you can see there, Killian, I think, was having a bit of trouble in this race. He started in the lead and was just dropping pace massively. I'm not sure if he had some sort of an issue, but I noticed that a few people have been mentioning about random races where you just cannot get your lap times out of the car where other people can. And I think Killian was having that issue in this race, because as we go down the main straight there, you can see he's now behind us around 2 seconds, and just watch how much he fades off. It's almost as if his car has got no grip at all, because obviously on the straights he's losing, but on the corners he's losing as well, which you shouldn't be losing. Someone like Killian would normally lose time through the corners when you know, I've got dirty air. So it's very strange. There is definitely something in it. There's a few people that mentioned, I noticed it at Interlagos as well. First race was struggling to get anywhere near like 32 point like 8s and 9s, and then a couple of races later we're doing pretty much 31 9s, 32 0s. So there is possibly something in that, but we don't 100% know yet. So you can see at the moment we're dropping off a little bit at the moment, 8 tenths behind us. Will goes for another move there, gets himself up past that Nissan GTR, and that is probably good for me, because I know the GTR is going to fade a little bit more than some of the other cars, because four-wheel drive, it will fade off a little bit at the end of the race. So at this point you can see we're up to P11, But we are starting to drop off this slipstream. We need to really get on the throttle for it. We've got another car there with a penalty and has backed out completely. So we're up to P10. There's obviously been some sort of issue into the hairpin and he's decided to back out. Don't know what's happened there, but yeah, he's backed out and we're now up into P10. So not too bad. We started in P12. We've gained 2 positions in this race, a very competitive race as well. And we're still in the slipstream train. So we've got potential to work our way forward a little bit more as we're going to get onto this final corner. And again, McLaren good on traction but just lacking a little bit of straight line speed. Every time we get to the straight we lose a little bit of time, so we're going to skip ahead again now to lap 5, and we can see the car in front of us, and Nissan GTR has picked up a penalty, so that's going to drop him down. And also Plora there in the McLaren has had an issue coming out of the exit of the corner. Now I have had that issue on that curb in time trial as well. When you get on the curb, car will randomly start drifting through that corner. I wonder if he's had a very similar issue to what I've had in time trial. Getting on the pile there, the car just loses all grip and just started rotating on me. It was really random because it didn't do it any other time. But yeah, we've gained a few positions there, up into P8. We've got Plora behind us, so who's going to be very, very fast and probably coming back through the field. But you know, he's 1 second behind. How long can we hold him off? I'm not too sure. You can see the race pace at the moment is it's fluctuating, to say the least. We did a 47.0, then a 47.9, then 47.5 and 5. So the pace is definitely fluctuating quite high. And I did find this, some laps we could just really put some good laps in. Other laps, it was just like half a second off pace, which was a bit weird. But yeah, overall, we're still doing okay. We're in P8. We've made progress in this race. And we're up a few positions as we watch that replay camera. And you can see how close the racing still is with this group we're in. We've got quite a few possibilities here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cars right in front of us. And we're in the slipstream too. And we're in P8, so you know we could be battling for a P5, P6 towards the end of the race, especially once tyre wear starts affecting the four-wheel drive cars ever so slightly. Now this wasn't a tyre wear race, but it will slightly affect them four-wheel drive cars as we work our way into that final sector on lap 6 now. And you can see Will again. This is a section where the BMW didn't quite look as strong, I noticed. Now I know that because I've obviously driven that BMW. It's a little bit trickier to drive. It doesn't seem to have the traction, so you can see through here I'm able to really attack the corners a lot more than Will is, and we're able to get ourselves back into that slipstream to a reasonable degree. However, on the straights, this is where we really lose out in the McLaren. You can see the difference on the straights. It just doesn't have the straight line speed, but we're going to get that slipstream all the way down the straight now, and you can see that this is, well, like I say, this is where we lose out on pace. Now, we're obviously short shifting the McLaren because that is the fastest way to drive the McLaren. You drive at about 60 to 75%, something like that on the revs, and it gets the most power out of it. So on the straights, you can see there Plora behind us in the slipstream, dropping off a little bit because he's not got as much of a slip as I've got to Will, so he's fading off there, but he'll gain it through the corner. So into the braking zone, brake as late as we can. And another thing about the McLaren is it seems very, very strong on the brakes, I've noticed. So yeah, if you're looking for quite a nice manufacturer to drive, I do think at the moment with the current BOP, as an overall whole, like for all combinations and stuff, the McLaren's a pretty solid choice. It's good at the majority of tracks in Group 3 and in Group 4, and it's they're quite easy cars to drive, so I am enjoying driving it. We've got the two cars in front of us battling there. Will not giving too much space there to Damien. I don't think he realised he was squeezing him as much as that, but yeah, he's got through and up into P6, and now we've got the Subaru in front of us. Now that Subaru does look like it's starting to fade a little bit. We're obviously coming up to around halfway in the race, so possibly the tyres are starting to fade a little bit on the Subaru, but it shouldn't be fading massively. Now we've got another penalty a little bit in front of us from another Subaru. You can see the yellow Subaru ahead of us. He's got a penalty there in P5, so there's a potential now we're going to go up to P7 in this race. So we're going to try and stay as close as possible to the car in front so that we're staying in that slipstream. We do not want to lose the slipstream. You can see Plora there gaining quite a lot of us on us in the middle sector there. He's gaining like half a second, so he's clearly on a charge and gaining a lot of time. Now we get a little bit wide out of the exit of the final corner, which is really frustrating because that affects our straight line speed all the way up the straight. And you can see there Plora's got that slipstream. He's probably going to go for a little look in the braking zone, but we brake quite late, very late in fact, and really does show you how good this car is on brakes. Down to first gear, back on the power, plenty of traction, managed to hold on to P7 in this race. But Plora is going to be obviously pushing to get past us, and I don't want to fight him too much because at the end of the day, I fight fights I know are worthwhile, and I know that he is a faster driver than me. So again, we're going to try and drive this quite tactically because there's no point battling with someone that we know is going to get us eventually, and if we both lose the slipstream, that's not good for either of us. So we give him the space on the inside, stick to the wide line, tuck in behind him, and just get his slipstream like we did with Will again. So yeah, trying to limit the amount of time that we lose, because another thing is he's going to probably upset the field in front of us, because we know that Plora is very, very fast on GT7. He's one of the fastest out there. So when he works his way through the field, he might upset them a little bit and give us opportunities to get another position. So again, another lap complete nearly, on lap 8 out of 15. So over halfway through this race now, and we're going to work our way onto the back straight. Again, trying to make sure we don't run wide this time. You can see, as you run wide there, you've got to be careful you don't lose too much momentum. Plora does it quite well. He kept the power down. We didn't keep that power down on the previous lap. So into the braking zone, and still very late on the brakes there, trying to make up some of the time that we're losing on the straights. You can see if you're close to another car within 4 tenths of them, you gain a lot on slipstream. But if you're not that close, you tend to lose quite a bit. Now into this middle sector again, down to 4th gear, trying to throw the car in. This section really enjoyable in pretty much any car you drive, as long as it's got reasonable downforce. I really hope that we get some Group 2 racing soon. It'd be great to go to Fuji in Group 2, but yeah, hopefully next week's daily races will have Group 2 or something, because it's getting a little bit boring in Group 3 and 4 every week. I really hope we can go to Group 2 for some good Group 2 racing. I think that'll bring out a lot of drivers that haven't played yet on GT7 on the online stuff. But you can see Plora now attacking the car in front of him, so he's going to be looking for a move on that Subaru. He's going to send it up the inside. The Subaru doing pretty much what we did, leaving the door open, trying to reduce the amount of time that he loses. But you can see there's a lot of battling going on here. Now I'm going to have a little look up the inside here, because we might have potential to go up the inside and tuck in the slipstream behind Plora. Now we give Damien the space. Great racing between us two here, space given on both accounts. He takes the inside line, and we just can't make that move stick. Nearly managed to make it work, nearly got it sorted, but yeah, we got another yellow flag, and that is actually, I think, the leader of the race. That was Mohammed has lost control of his car. I'm not sure what's happened there, but we're now up to P7, so we're gaining places while people are making mistakes, and we're not making too many mistakes. We're keeping this car pretty solid on the track, and we're driving pretty well. You can see we've done 1 lap in the 46s, and this is what people are talking about with the change of grip. We did a 46.8 on lap 6, and then the lap time suddenly drop again. I know we've been battling a little bit and letting a few people pass and stuff, but some of the laps were perfectly clean and they're like half a second slower. And that is what, I know some people might think that's normal, but in top split, normally you'll find that people will be very close to their lap times in terms of how close, like, you know, within a few tenths. And that's what I think Khalees Ford's mentioned it as well. Quite a few top drivers have been saying there's a gap between lap times randomly, and sometimes there's no change. It doesn't feel like, you can't explain why it happens. We're going to go for a move now on Damien, up the inside in the Subaru, and we managed to take that position and up into P6. So now we're back behind that McLaren, and yeah, we're in a pretty good position in this race. Considering we started down in P12 in this top split race, we've managed to gain a few positions. We get the overtake done there, and now we've just got to try and make sure we stay in the slipstream to the cars up ahead, because we do not want to lose this slip. So out of the corner there, good exit, onto the power nice and early, and now onto the back straight to try and make sure we stay in that McLaren slipstream. You can see I'm trying to take quite a tight line here to get a bit more slip, as you can see, onto the power, but lose a bit of momentum on the straight. But we're going to get the bump draft off the Subaru behind us. That's going to help us gain a bit of momentum as we skip a little bit further ahead onto lap 12 now. And you can see that Damien behind us there, I think he's picked up a penalty. You look in the mirror, he seems to fade off a little bit, so he must have picked up a 1 second penalty. I'm guessing he cut a corner somewhere. It did seem pretty random, the corner cuts, I have to say, because I was following a car at one stage in, I think, the first race, and we did the exact same line. I didn't get a penalty, he got a penalty, so it was literally the same line that we went through the corner as well. But yeah, sometimes it's probably the car width that causes maybe some differences between, you know, the BMW, for example, and the McLaren, different widths, different dimensions. But now we're in a battle for, I think it's P3 there, I think P3, 4, 5 and 6. So podium battle, but we do see that Plora's got himself ahead of Will Murdoch and is now fighting. So Plora is going to be very hard to even stay with, because he is so fast at pretty much any combination. But Will in the BMW there is very difficult to overtake as well, because the BMW is so fast on the straight. Definitely suffered a bit on the slower corners, didn't seem to have the traction, but as soon as we got to the straight lines, that BMW was gone, and I just could not keep with it on the straight part, on the power sections. But yeah, we're going to see what happens, see if we can gain any more positions on these final few laps as we go into the final sector again. You can see Plora's got himself ahead of the other McLaren there. That McLaren from in P4 was starting to fade. He started quite high up there, and then it's just dropping down gradually. So I do feel like our race pace was pretty good. It was quite frustrating that I couldn't really go all day on these races because of the issue. It would have been great to stream these races, because I do think there was potential to get quite good points out of this one, because our pace was reasonably okay. But yeah, with the issues with the company, the YouTube channel, claiming everyone's content on Fuji, it just wasn't really worth it. But I just decided to do a couple of races off stream and then, yeah, make it into a video. So we're skipping to lap 14 now and on to the final lap. We can see that Will is going to go very close to making a move on that McLaren in front of him. The McLaren has lost the slipstream a bit. Will's going to go up the inside, and I don't think he's going to fight it. It's almost like he's going to let him take that. Now, personally, on the final lap, I would not be giving up that position so easy, I have to say. On the final lap, halfway through the race, fair enough, but the last lap, I'm quite surprised that he didn't battle that out more and defend that inside, because I think he just gave that P4 up far too easily. But you can see he's obviously fading back a little bit. He probably wanted slipstream to protect himself, maybe, to losing any more positions. But yeah, it's a shame they didn't battle, because it probably would have brought myself into it a little bit more. But yeah, as we work our way through the final lap now, you can see getting very close to P5 into the braking zone, trying to get on the power, but we're not going to be close enough. I think a few more laps here and we might have been able to get ourselves up into P5 as we work our way onto the back straight now and then into that heavy braking zone for the last very technical section. But you can see just how fast Pelor is. Look how fast he has pulled away up at the front there, just absolutely flying in that McLaren. Absolutely on it, I can tell you now, because I'm pushing like crazy in this race. We're back doing pretty good lap times, 47.3, 47.2, 47.0. So the pace is pretty strong at the moment, but Pelor is just on another level. The guy is just insane on GT7. So yeah, into the last sector, we got Will Murdoch just ahead of the McLaren in front of us. And you can see there, he's obviously got the slipstream benefit to Will. And we're going to go into this final sector and just try and see what happens as we go onto the back straight. You can see not really much we can do now, though, because P5 is going to have to slipstream to Will. He's going to take that position, and we're just going to follow the slipstream and, yeah, go over the line for a P6. I think, to be fair, where we started, P12, worked our way up to P6 without making mistakes. A few overtakes, I think like 1 or 2 overtakes. Other people making mistakes. Pretty solid result and quite an intense race. We only finished 4 seconds off the lead as well, so pace was not bad. Pretty solid race pace. However, obviously qualifying down in P12, yeah, could have been better, but we couldn't obviously go again because I needed to stream, and obviously we couldn't stream Fuji. So P6, we managed to take away, I think, 328 points from the race as well. You can see it there in the lobby. 328 points, not the worst. It didn't improve my overall points, but I decided to take that. It was a good, clean race. Enjoyed it. Hopefully you lot enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments how your race went, and I'll see you for more videos in the future. Thanks again for watching, everyone.